Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Fi Guys podcast. This is Fi Friday Feedback. We're going to be recapping Monday's episode, talking about some of our favorite moments, maybe adding a bit more philosophy and psychology, which I don't know, because Monday's podcast got really philosophical and really psychological pretty quick. So we'll see where that goes. We'll do a win of the week, and don't forget about Dominic's favorite part, that viewer mailbag. And I hear, Dominic, that you have a pretty juicy one. Normally I get a chance to get like the cliff notes of what's going on, but you were just like, nah, man, we're going straight into it. So we'll see how I do on the fly.
You're going to do great on the fly. You got a good mind on you. It's totally fine. It's not, I'll say it's not, it's crazy for the viewer, but it's not going to be super, super technical. I think you'll be able to handle this one. No doubt. Yeah. Last podcast, we talked a lot about the dark triad. I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds like the scariest gang in all of Shanghai, to be honest. So yeah, watch out for the dark triad. Scary gang, totally scary, the scariest. But if you really want to know what it is, I'm sure we're going to recap it today. But on Monday's episode, we also talked quite a lot about it and the Dunning-Kruger effect. You guys know what that is? Are you whipping out the ChatGPT? You Googling it right now? All good. Well, we're going to get into that as well. But yeah, today's podcast is a recap of Mondays on how does money actually change you?
Does it reveal who you are or make you into something or someone completely new?
Something. Well, could turn you into a monster. We don't know.
You turned into a werewolf. I don't know.
We could turn into a werewolf. You know, that's what happened to me. I got $1 million. I turned into a were-hyena. Little Anchorman reference right there for us Anchorman fans. Anyway, that being said, welcome into today's episode, though. We're glad to have you. Thank you for joining us on today's little adventure. Chris, where would you like to start off on this money journey today?
Well, since we've had a week now to kind of reflect, and we ended the podcast with, I feel, where we normally end the podcast, with more questions than answers to the original question that we asked. And the original question was, does money reveal who you are or make you into someone new? And I hoped that by the end of the podcast, we would have a definitive answer. It either makes you into someone new or reveals who you are. And at the end of it, we end up with more questions than we normally do. So now that we've had a week to kind of sit here and digest, where do you fall on the spectrum?
You know, I was going to make a joke about that. I'm like, oh, the spectrum, I'm all over the place. But
I'm all the way there.
I'm all the way there, man. I'm freaking all the way. I'm zapped. No. That being, I mean, there's probably something on there. I'm definitely somewhere up there. But that being said, we're going to get back to it. You know, I think there's oftentimes two versions of people, right? It's not every time, but sometimes it's the person that the people show you. It's a person they hold deep inside. Sometimes they're the same person. Sometimes they're genuine, and that could be good or bad. Sometimes people are rude to you on the outside, and that's just who they are. They're just a very rude person, right? So they're showing you that, hey, I'm going to be a dick to you, right? But at least I'm being honest with you, right? So sometimes there's one of one. Sometimes they're like a prince, right? Good on the outside, good on the inside. Maybe that's the case, right? But a lot of times we find that people might put on a face, put on this convincing act, right? To make you think that they're a good person. But deep down inside, and I mean deep, I'm not talking surface level, I'm talking to the core of their beliefs. They got some demons in there. It's kind of dark in there. A little bit dark, a little bit steamy. Don't know why I said steamy, but a little bit dark in there. Right? And when somebody gets access to money, and you know, we talked a lot about it on Monday, but money is a great multiplier. It'll make you more of what you are, right? It's a mirror. It shows you who you are. And if you really want to feed into those dark tendencies that lie deep in your core, money is going to amplify that, and you're not going to be able to cover for yourself as much, as easy. Right? So, I mean, I guess you got to make the question, are you a terrible person outside and inside? Are you a good person inside and outside? Are you a good person on the outside and a bad person on the inside? And or are you a bad person on the outside, but really a good person on the inside? Which one are you guys? I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah. I wonder, you know, when it comes to the money thing, because if it sounds like you're kind of leaning more towards it's a mirror of who you are, of who you really are at your core. And I wonder if that mirror, when it comes to like it uncovers And I think when most people say like, oh, money uncovers who you are, and they think like it uncovers it to everyone else. So everyone else knows who you are at your core. But I wonder if it uncovers it even to the person itself who has the money. Like that person didn't even know they were a jerk. That person didn't know they had these tendencies. That person went through their whole life thinking, I'm going to be a good person. When I get the money, I'm going to be A, B, C, and D. I'm going to be one of the good ones. And then they got the money. And then this new self emerged, this new monster, this new thing came out. And it was like, oh, my whole life, I thought I was this way, but actually I was this way. And the money was the thing that showed you who you truly were behind the mask, behind the story that you put yourself, who you were. So I wonder if that could be it.
You know, I wonder this. You might be a good person down below, right? You might be a good person outside, inside. And when you get money, you're inadvertently a bad person. Maybe not bad, maybe not killing people, maybe not ripping people, scamming people, right? But sometimes you can be the villain of someone else's story and not even know it. You're like, I'm just trying to help out, right? When you were talking right there, I kind of had a thought in my own mind, like, so I drive a Buick. I love my Buick. Paid off. I love it. It's so comfy. It's like driving a sofa. It's so comfortable. I drive very slow. I drive very slow in this car. I like the way I drive. I drive the speed limit. I'll say that. I drive the speed limit. Okay, everyone
so in
around
Arizona,
me,
you drive like a grandma.
Oh, I drive like a grandma. Everybody else is 15 over. If I'm going 15 over, somebody's tailing me. And they're like, why aren't you going 20 over 30? I'm like, what? Arizona drivers kind of broke me. I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to be who I want to be, and y'all can just go around. You should have planned for me. You should have planned around Tommy Dom over here in his grandma Buick, okay? But I kind of had the thought that I drive slow. I enjoy driving slow. I enjoy driving comfortably, right? Save gas. I don't like, but if I had that Audi R8, that top speed of 210 miles an hour, zipping through, would I still drive slow? I don't think so. I would probably drive. I definitely speed. I would 100% speed. Don't use this word, but I would definitely speed, right? And I'm not trying to do it. I'm not trying to break the law. I'm not trying to cut people off in traffic. I'm just having fun, right? And it's kind of the same with money, in a way, right? I got a bunch of money, right? I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to live my best life. I'm not trying to screw anybody over. I'm trying to be a dick to everybody. But two things can be true at the same time. You can live your best life and still be really bad, really rude to people. So I guess it's all about what kind of character you are, what kind of character you have, and really being conscious about the decisions and actions that you're taking. Do you think you'd be conscious, or do you think you'd just be one buck wild?
I think that car analogy is perfect because even like you said, like you've lived your entire life slow driver. Like I drive the speed limit, all of these things. It can be the same thing for someone who's saving to save money. Like I'm trying to create this company. I'm struggling. I'm working so hard to make this company because I want to be a good person. I want to be one of the good ones who have the money to give to poor kids in Haiti and Uganda and all this stuff. And then you finally get that money. And then you become the billionaire or the millionaire who's like, oh, I can't give to other people. Like I don't have enough right now for me. Yet when you were a poor college student, you had enough to be help people. So maybe, and I'm kind of even shifting my thing, maybe the money does sculpt you more, but it's not sculpting you and like changing you. It's revealing the true self of you, the self that you don't even want to know is down there. Because like I said at the end of last podcast, like I say on every podcast, we go through life thinking that we know ourselves, but the easiest person for us to trick is ourselves. So maybe we go through our whole life tricking ourselves, saying, I'm this good person. If I was a billionaire, I'd be different. If I was this, blah, 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 blah. And then you finally get there. And you realize you were just like everyone else. You were the person that you hated the entire time. It's interesting to think about.
It's so interesting for people to hate what they are. And I don't think a lot of people want to come to that conclusion. People hate billionaires. People hate the rich. It's like, dude, you might not have the money, but you're the same person.
It's like, you hate me because you ain't me. And you are me.
They hate us because they ain't us. I love that. That's a good reference. That's a solid reference. What's the name of the movie? The Interview or something? It's a Kim Jong-un movie. That's what I get it from.
I think it was The Interview.
That's such a funny movie. I love that one. I hate us because
on Monday's podcast, we talked a lot about that and how we're able to just kind of think about it. We talked a lot about also about lottery winners. And I think there was an old proverb that one said, wealth gained hastily will dwindle hastily.
Kind of like the quicker it comes, the quicker it goes, kind of.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the nice things about building this way of financial independence is like, it's not scammy at all. Because if you're trying to scam somebody in financial independence, like, hey guys, like come here quietly. Don't tell me about this. The way we're gonna all get rich, right? We're gonna work hard for our whole life. We're gonna save a good like 20 to 50%. Save as much as you possibly can. We're gonna invest into the stock market. You're gonna just keep doing that for like 30, 40, maybe even 50 years, and you're gonna be a multimillionaire. Don't tell anybody though, it's a secret. Like and that's the secret.
Yeah. I heard a joke that was really similar to that. It's like, dude, we're strapped for money. What we're gonna do? We're gonna rob a bank. Oh shoot, we're gonna rob a bank. It's like, yeah, we're gonna rob a bank. We're gonna get jobs as bank tellers, right? Clerks, right? And we're gonna be working at the bank. It's like, okay, then what? We're gonna work there for 20, 30 years, right? And then we're gonna retire. We're gonna be rich. It's like, what? That's a job. I mean, you
sure, and we did it. We did it. They never saw it coming.
But yeah, I mean,
and to that point, I think a lot of people, they want the secret. They're looking like, just tell me what the secret is, because I don't want to have to try hard. I don't want to have to do really anything. And in truth, the secret is that there's no secret, or maybe the secret is you have to freaking work every day, grind a little bit. Maybe the secret is that a little bit of work over time is a lot easier than a lot of work all at the end.
Both not great. If you come from the lazy mindset, both of those not great, not ideal, but it's the options we got. So we're going to have to do one of them, right? Yeah. So, man, yeah, I wish there was an easier way. I wish there was a secret. I wish there was a way to get rich quickly and still be a good person, right? But the only way to get rich and still be a good person is, well, you just got to hold on to your morals tight, and whatever you are, make sure that you are, what am I getting at here, Chris? I'm kind of rumbling. I'm kind of rambling.
I think that getting rich slowly is really one of those keys there, because if it happens too fast, there's a really good chance that you're going to wreck it anyways. Because as you get rich slowly, you begin to learn to appreciate what you have. You get to learn not just how to appreciate it, but also how to manage it. And those things take time to be able to do it. It'd be like, I don't even know if having a kid is the perfect example, because like you really are just kind of thrust into that.
I got one for this.
Okay.
It's like the difference between having a store-bought, Walmart, Target, store-bought chocolate cake. I'm sure it's really good, right? But say you know what you're doing and you spent the last 3 hours making this, death by chocolate cake, right? Chances are the cake that you put time and effort and, energy and knowledge into, it's going to taste better. Now, will it taste better to everyone else? Maybe, maybe not. But to you, it's going to taste better because you put so much work into it, right? Versus like the cheap, oh yeah, $10, I'll just grab it. It's fine. That's kind of my analogy for that. I don't know if I might just be hungry.
Maybe that and the appreciation that you have for it. But the biggest thing that I want is like, if you get money fast and you get it without trying, you're just not going to respect it. But more importantly, like you may have the more money, you may have the credentials, you may have the confidence that comes with that, but you don't have the competence to be able to manage the money. You don't have the competence to be able to manage what that will change you into, for better or for worse, without earning it over time. And that over time is the key part, because for someone to change, you don't change in an instant. You don't change in a snap. You change very, very slowly, very deliberately. And it's usually pretty small changes.
Yeah. But I mean, to that effect as well, I mean, the slower the change, right? The smaller the increase, right? Well, in theory, the longer it'll last, right? If I got a 6-pack tomorrow, I'd probably blow it, right? Because I got chocolate cake in the fridge. But but I mean, it's the same concept. It's the same process, right? The slower you get it, the slower it goes. The faster you get it, the faster it goes. And
I
as
got
you
a
get
good example.
yeah.
Think of it as Epic. Like,
Honestly, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the underlying problem, right? That there's like 10 different problems rolled into one, right? There's probably not just one problem underlying. But yeah, I mean, we should be grateful that it takes a long time. It takes a good amount of effort because we appreciate it more when it does. And if we didn't appreciate it, then what's the point of everything, you know? What's the point of getting rich if you don't appreciate it?
I agree. So I think with that, I want to just recap what our action step was, because if our audience member hasn't done that, I really want them to do that. And the question we posed is, if money showed up in your life tomorrow, what would that reveal? And I don't just mean like how much money is there. I mean, like, what would it reveal inside of you? I want you to journal or think about, like, what does your current bank account say about your values? And if tomorrow, if you woke up and there was that magical amount of money, and that could be $1 million, $10 million, $1 billion, what would that say about your values then? Would you act any different tomorrow knowing that you have all that money? And then if you would act any different, I want you to start acting like it tomorrow, as if you had that wealth. How would you treat other people? How would you spend your time? How would you spend your energy? Because in truth, if you want to get to that point, you need to start now. I'm not saying to go out and start spending like you have $1 million if you don't have $1 million. But also, if your goal is to get to $1 million or $1 billion so you can spend like that to like serve your own needs, most likely you're not deserving of it. And when you get there, you're going to wreck it anyways.
So with that being said, we're going to be moving on to our viewer mailbag. This is a fun one. I'm excited for this one. So getting right into it. The title for this one says, "Don't judge me too hard." All right, we'll try not to. We're not like Dave Ramsey. Well, after this one, you might. We'll see. We'll see after this one. So, howdy, Fi Guys. I did a thing. And by a thing, I mean I downloaded 5 budgeting apps, color-coded my debt, and cried into my $7 latte that I definitely should have bought. Shouldn't have bought. I'm 26. I have 3 credit cards. I have 2 student loans and 1 dangerously inflated sense of confidence every time I say, I'm going to get my finances together this month. I've said that for 19 consecutive months. Here's my financial breakdown, or financial horror show, as I call it. I have an emergency fund with $83 in it. My biggest line item last month was Uber Eats, followed closely by unexplained Target runs. Okay. We all know the temptations of Target. We've all been there. I thought investing meant buying crypto at 3 a.m. because some TikTok said this coin is about to pop. Spoiler, it did not. It died. And it fully evaporated. Anyway, I keep hearing people say money is just a tool. We have said that before on the podcast. This is accurate. And honestly, I think I've been using mine to dig my own grave. Oh, nice. How do I fix this without becoming one of those finance people who eats plain rice in shame for dinner? Oh, kind of calling me out for that one, all right? Okay. Man, now I'm really... You can't add food into the viewer mailbag, guys. I'm already hungry. I'm hungry 24/7. I want to get my life together without giving up iced coffee and serotonin. Fair enough. Please save me. Or at least roast me gently while offering some usable advice. From spend with sense, not just suspense. Grow your sense, not your expense. Alrighty. Well. A little bit of a doozy. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too light.
Nothing too crazy on this one.
Nothing too crazy.
So this guy's about your age, Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody your age? Say this is your friend who's coming to you. Maybe this is something that has happened in your life. What would be your advice to them?
I'd say you got to build a budget, brother. Like you got to, what's coming in, what's going out. That's phase 1. You got to know what's coming in and what's going out. Like, not just like, bro, I spent like $200 on groceries this month. It's like, no, I need to the penny, to the dollar. What is it? And once you got that, and it's so easy nowadays. It's so freaking easy nowadays. Really lock in with that. I mean, he said he had like quite a few apps, right? So maybe for this person, since they already have all the apps color coded and everything, and they already got everything, locked in. Maybe they just need an accountability partner. It's like, hey, what'd you spend? What'd you spend this week? What'd you spend today? Right. I know for me, an accountability partner helped a lot when I was getting started at the gym. So maybe finance it could work for you as well. As far as the Uber Eats being the largest line item on the bill or on the budget, that's wild. We need to get you a pan. We need to get you some Costco membership, and you need to start like not eating out as much. Yeah, I mean, if food is your biggest line item, that is beyond concerning. In not in every case, but in this case, I would say, especially with $83 in the emergency fund, not great. Also, stop listening to people pump crypto stocks and any other investments.
You shouldn't be watching TikTok at 3 a.m.
No.
Like
No. I mean, were you listening last week when we said, you should be getting more sleep than screen time? That was our action step of the week. I hope you're following it. Or sleeping in until 1. I'm not sure. That being said, get off TikTok. See if you can. It all depends on how much they're bringing in, right? They might be bringing in 200K and blowing 200K. They might be bringing in 20,000 and blowing 20,000, right? It all starts with the budget, right? And being disciplined enough to follow it, and being realistic in setting your budget, right? And making that room for the lattes, right? Adding into the budget, like, hey, like I'm putting aside this much money to blow on lattes every month, every week, right? So I guess it's all about designing a budget that actually works and not being too strenuous with yourself. But I'm curious to see, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah. This has come from my experience. When I typically meet people who are in this regard, where I usually start is it's the little decisions. It's the little decisions you make every day that are compounding and adding up and adding up and adding up to make this into a very bad situation. Nothing that he said specifically, minus the crypto thing at 3 a.m., is like out of left field, like, oh my God, we need to fix this right now. So what I think is just a lot of little decisions, like, should I cook at home and like save some money, or should I eat out? Well, it's always easier to eat out. It sounds like this person has prioritized convenience over everything else. And that's fine. If you want to say convenience is my number one thing, that's totally cool. You have to be able to earn that, though. You have to earn that through putting in the work, through putting in the discipline to earn that convenience. You just don't get to go directly to convenience, directly to not having to try, unless you put in all the work to try. Because what I want to know is, you've said you've been doing this consecutively for 19 months and nothing has changed. Why are we doing the exact same thing every month? I'm glad that you're keeping to a resolution. You're trying to stick with it every month. So are you basically saying at the beginning of every month, like, all right, I'm going to be perfect now. Like from here on out, I'm going to be perfect. And then it gets to like noon on the 1st of the month. And you're like, all right, well, I'm kind of hungry. Should I make a quesadilla at home or should I order Chipotle? Like, it's really hard to get the tortillas out of my fridge and like put the cheese on the tortilla. I'm just going to order Uber Eats. And then you're like, well, the month is effed, so might as well just keep this bad train rolling. And then you do it again. And then the next month you're like, all right, we're back to the first. We're going to do it again. It's kind of like that guy who like quits smoking every 10 minutes. He's like, oh guys, like I quit smoking until I have to go outside later to smoke again. Yeah. That's kind of where I feel you are. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good here. It honestly sounds like, Dominic, I think the accountability thing is perfect. If I was you, I don't know if this website's still around, but there used to be a app you used to be able to do where it's basically like, I don't do this. I'm putting up this much money, collateral, that's going to go towards some charity that I don't like, or I'm going to give this much money away. So people used to use it a lot for the gym. Like, if I don't go to the gym, I'm giving $1,000 to the NRA or $1,000 to NPR, depending on like how you feel about those things.
Gotcha.
And then
so just to clarify, if I don't like guns, I'm putting up $1,000. If I don't go through, like, I'll put up like $100 to donate to the NRA, right? Because I don't want them to get the money, but I want to be. Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're. So that's wild. I hope that's still around. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and you can do that with a friend. I mean, honestly, like you and a buddy, maybe you guys have some issues, or like you both have some like financial issues together. Gamify this. Try to see what you can do. Having that accountability to somebody else could really help you, because it sounds like the biggest thing that's coming to you is you're giving yourself an out. The moment it gets difficult, the moment you have to try, you're giving yourself an out of like, it's not that big of a deal anyways. But you wrote into the podcast for reasons because you don't want to keep on being in this situation. And you're hoping that Dominic and I can say some magical words in some magical order, in some magical tone of voice that's going to get you to finally realize what you've known the entire time. You need to be the hero of your own story. You need to get to work. You need to make small choices every day to get a little bit better. I'm not asking you to go from $83 in an emergency fund to Warren freaking Buffett. I'm not asking for that. What I'm asking is tomorrow, get to $84. The next day, $85. The next day, $86. Save $1 a day. Get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. If right now you're eating out at Uber Eats every day, ideally I would have you go cold turkey. But if you can't, can we do Uber Eats 5 times a week instead of 7? If you're doing it 3 times a day, can you do it 1 time a day instead of a few? What can we do to start saving money? Because the equation is very simple. I know that financial advisors, quote unquote, financial experts, like to try to make it as complicated as they possibly can to tell you, listener, that you don't know what you're doing without me. Without me being the hero, you can't figure it out. But the equation is how much money you make minus how much money you spend equals the gap. That gap is the driver to everything in life that you want. That gap, it could be your emergency fund. That can be your investments. That can be your IRA, your 401k, house money, or saving up for your future down payment for a house. All of those things comes from that one place, the gap. How much money you make minus how much money you spend. So we have 2 levers we can pull from. How much money we make. Can we increase our income? I don't know what your income is. You didn't say anything like that, but I have to imagine that your expenses lever is like pulled all the way down and you're just like running it through the ground. So you need to let off of that lever a little bit and let some money stay inside your account and start getting addicted to gamifying. How much money can I save each month? What can I do with that money? How much can it free up for me? That is 80% to maybe 90% of being quote unquote good with money. It has nothing to do with buying some cryptocurrency in the middle of 3 a.m., nothing to do with buying options, trading, derivatives, alpha, Fibonacci sequences, none of that. It has to do with everything that's going between your ears. How much money is coming in minus how much is coming out. Focus on the things you can control. The stock market's crazy. There's all these crazy things happening. But if you're just sitting here saying, I don't know what's going on, you clearly know what's going on. You're spending too much money on stuff that you don't need.
almost came out, but I mean, true.
Almost got it.
But true. Like, you shouldn't. And I'm just kind of trying to like flip the script a little bit. How good would that Uber Eats tasted if you knew it was purchased responsibly? I think maybe it's just me. I think it'd taste even better. I think it would taste better, right? And maybe it's a matter of like, okay, maybe I need to like batch my meals. Maybe I need to make like a big thing of this, a big thing of that, right? And it's like, oh, I'll have this on Monday for lunch. I'll have it on Thursday for lunch, and I'll have it on Saturday for lunch, right? It's like a cost-effective way to like really cut down. This is really not even a finance thing. This is mostly just food. Right? This is just food advice, honestly. So I guess I understand why I picked it. Is me and food. But yeah, Chris, I think you're spot on with your advice. And I think it's so funny. He's like, I heard like money is a tool, but I feel like I'm digging my own grave. It's like, oh, nice.
Yes, he's using it as a shovel to finish himself off. But I think what it really comes down to, people like this are often like kind of perfectionists at heart. And if it can't be perfect, then I'm not even going to try. And I'm going to just wreck it into a million ways. So only our listener can know this for sure. But like, are you the kind of person that's like, I shouldn't do this. And then you do it. And then while you're doing it, like, man, I'm just such a bad person for doing this. And then afterwards you feel bad for what you did. And in order to get that serotonin, in order to feel better, you do something you shouldn't do to feel momentarily happy again because you feel bad about what you did. And that just creates this positive feedback loop, a positive feedback loop of negativity that just keeps on feeding itself. Bad of like, I feel bad that I did this thing. So I'm going to do something that's going to make me feel bad after I do it to make up for that thing. That just keeps it going and going and going. Your life is made up of the small habits, not the big things. So you have to make all of these little habits. And I know it's going to feel hard. So I'm not asking you to go from where you are right now to perfection. I'm asking you to try just a little bit every single day to get a little bit better and stay the hell off of TikTok at 3 a.m.
Exactly. Well, 1% better every day. Well, we appreciate you for writing in, and we hope that helps you. With that being said, we're going to be moving on to our win of the week. This is where we kind of end off the podcast on a little bit more of a higher note, usually. And for this week's win of the week, you want me to go first, Chris? You want me to go first? Do you want?
No, you go first. I have a bigger one.
Okay, cool. I think I just said, do you want me to go first, Chris, or do you want me to go first? I think that's what I
Yes. So
yes.
Okay.
I heard it back. I was like, did I not give him an option? Like, I don't know. It's like a forced close. Alrighty. So my win of the week here in my notes. This might come pretty obvious actually to most of you, if you are avid listeners of the channel. But I realized this week how much at peace I am when I'm cooking. I was cooking the other night, a little bit of a late night cooking session. I was making like 3 things at once. I was tempted to go 4, but I'm like, I shouldn't. When I say making, loosely, right? I was making this wonderful like cheese dip. So basically, I just have this like mini crock pot. I put my cheese and I put my like sauces and spices and everything in there. So that's just on like making very loosely. And then I was making a cheesecake. I had some cream cheese. I had to use up. So I'm like, let's make a cheesecake, right? And the other thing that I was making were these absolutely, I don't know if you've ever been, Chris, but to like Auntie Annie's like pretzels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made some like pretzel bites, and I've made pretzel bites before back when I did keto with like it was like almond flour. It sucked. It was I think I threw them out. They were horrible. And I was making these ones the other night, and I was like, this is gonna probably turn out bad. Like, this is not gonna be good. I bit into it and I was like, this is freaking amazing. This is so good. I wish I didn't use up all my freaking cream cheese for my cheesecake. I would have had a nice little cream cheese dip, but is what it is. I ended up using the other nice dip I had. But yeah, that was part of my win of the week. And then second part of my win of the week is I'm in the process. I'm just finishing up redesigning and transferring everything over to what I call my second brain, or my mind's garden is what I call it in Notion, where I kind of just keep track of like my journal, different notes, something that like might pop out on the podcast. I'll like write it down. That's where I kind of like document and really just, document is the best way I can describe it. Just where I document everything. But yeah, just working on that and almost finished with that. So I'm really excited about that. But Chris, what's your win of the week, sir?
So I don't know if you guys remember, but a while ago we did do a podcast all about me moving back to San Diego and kind of the fears and the uncertainty of all those things. And there's been a lot of back and forth as to when we should do it, where we should go. Well, I'm excited and nervous to also say that we've begun packing our house. We will be moving back to San Diego here in the next few months. We don't have an exact date, but we will be moving back soon. So we're very excited, a little nervous, a little trepidatious, and all these things. There's been a lot that's been going on in life right now. So hopefully Dominic and I can continue having the podcast come out Monday, Fridays. If we have to tear down for a little while just to doing Monday podcast, then maybe have something to do. But know to our audience members that you guys are so important to me, and I'm going to continue to try my best. But life is getting very chaotic, very busy, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So in the next few months, we will be moving back to San Diego, which I'm excited about. And I'm extremely nervous. It's a lot.
Damn, I thought I had a good win of the week. That's way better than my pretzel story. Congratulations, my friend. That is freaking A1. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. Very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. We're just going to stick with saying it's very exciting. I love it. If it has to come down to, I'll do a solo pod just on the little knowledge that I do have about food and whatnot. But that's awesome, Chris. That's freaking awesome. That's super cool. Super exciting. Cool. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. Make sure to leave any comments, any ideas you guys had about our podcast today on money and how it changes you. Does it change you? Do you think if you got rich, you would change? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy today's episode, feel free to share it with a friend. It's so much better going on this financial journey with somebody else rather than going alone. Speaking from experience, guys, honestly, truthfully. With that being said, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. And if you're listening to us on any of the many podcast platforms that we happen to be on, make sure to give us a 5-star review if you think we deserve it. If not, don't even do it. Just don't rate us anything below 5. 4, I'd settle for a 4. 3, man, not so much. But with that being said, I'm Dominic. He's Chris. We're the Five Guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Later. This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.